Eindhoven has been a boomtown now for 20 years. After Philips became a much smaller company, we had to redevelop the economy. We now have more than 6,000 tech companies, which of course attracts an international climate, international investors. Most of our companies are international, and this is radically changing the town. So growth figures are very high, but it also creates an enormous demand for investments in real estate, in services, in amenities, and that is the challenge we are facing. The challenge right now is to build housing, affordable housing. That's the key issue, and we are redeveloping a large part of the center of the town to build roughly 20,000 houses between now and 2040. So we are very far already in planning procedures, and we are now very much interested in looking for investors, preferably long-term investors, committed to stay in our city and to take on many projects and invest for the long term. And given the economic development of the city, it is a really interesting place to invest right now. Some of our biggest companies are growing so fast that they have said to the city council, let us help. We want to help you build. We want to help you create the services and facilities that our people need here in the city. So they've now set up a fund which can help us finance some of the first losses or give a guarantee on the sale of apartments or a guarantee on the rental contracts, so that investors and developers can start building much sooner. So this fund, which is fully private, and they are making it available for us, the local government, to realize in a much faster pace the big building projects. So that's super interesting for the developers in Eindhoven, because they can talk to the private sector and say, well, can you give us a guarantee on this project, or can you give us, provide us security on the first loss of that project, which helps us really in the current insecurity in the markets, insecurity times for policy also insecure. And the private sector in Eindhoven has now said that we will provide additional security so we can keep building. We are looking at huge numbers to build, residential, but we will from the very first start of the projects also look at amenities, facilities, schools, healthcare. So we need to, from the beginning of our design of the new urban districts, take all of those functions in account. Which doesn't mean that they all have to be in the same building, because that for investors sometimes is complex. But we need to make sure that they are built at the same time and taken into the design of the new districts. And that, per definition, requires that we work very closely, public partners and private partners, to realize as we are building also the new school, also the healthcare center, also the sports facilities in one big flow. And we've been quite successful in doing so because the cooperation in Eindhoven, public and private, is traditionally already very strong.